sometimes we tell stories that don't really support the agenda that we're trying to advance.
Do the kinds of stories we in the media tell make a difference in how our audience understands an issue, or how moved they may be to take action? Now we have evidence to understand just how and why.
And what we tried to do in this project was kind of dissect the moving parts of the story, if you will. The spokespeople, the message, the way the story is framed, the issues that we're covering, and look at those different moving parts and see how they come together and how we can ultimately tell the most effective story that will move people and ultimately build a constituency for kids in this country.
In 2009 and 2010, the strategic communications firm Douglas Gould & Company and Topos Partnership, a public opinion and cultural research organization, undertook groundbreaking research into the most effective messages and storytelling approaches to raise awareness about issues affecting children and youth. They used a variety of methods to conduct their research: background interviews, focus groups, talkback testing, and experimental surveys. The challenge? Can we tell stories that emphasize solutions over problems?
And right now, most of those news stories around kids, when they're talking about policy, tend to be crisis-oriented stories. What's wrong, how kids are failing, etc., etc. Can we tell a different kind of story? Can we emphasize solutions over problems? Can we tell stories in a way that makes collective responsibility visible? And then finally, can we tell these stories in a way that also builds support for at-risk kids?
A solutions-oriented story is not the same thing as glossing over the truth or biasing the reporting.
We're not asking journalists to gloss over reality. We're not asking advocates to pretend that problems don't exist. What we're saying is there's a way to construct an argument that embeds the problem into a discussion of the solution. If you inundate people with problems, they feel disempowered and helpless. And so a litany of problems is counterproductive to mobilizing people to take action. But if you talk about the problem within a solution, so you say, we have the solution to the teenage pregnancy problem, that's going to be more effective than saying, we have 1 million pregnant teenagers.
There are 5 main elements to a solutions-based story that help to move audience to be more supportive of kids' issues and more understanding of public responsibility. First, connect to community.
Focus on the community's response and community's responsibility to children, and also the benefit that's going to flow to the community by being more supportive of the needs of children.
We are connecting to community when we're telling these stories. And there are 2 ways to connect to community, both of which are important. One of them is that saying communities have a responsibility. But there's another way to connect to community that's also very powerful, which is reminding people that the kids today are the leaders of the community tomorrow.
Second, big picture thinking, which is to get people to think beyond just an individual child or young person, and to go beyond the idea that families are solely responsible for the health, development, and future of children.
There are 2 ways that we found that are effective in sparking big picture thinking. One is simply talking about more than one program. You know, if we list 2 or 3 different kinds of programs in 2 or 3 different issue areas, it helps people get there. But another that hasn't been used very much but is very effective is the idea of queuing up for people that we have built a lot of public structures that make our quality of life what it is. And these public structures do a lot to benefit our kids, talking about things like schools and parks and libraries and rec programs, etc. That these are all things we created together.
The third element, necessary not nice, implies that we have to position beneficial programs as the necessary solution, not just the solution that sounds nice in theory. Fourth, inspire action.
Asking and inviting action, not just assuming that the story we tell will spark action, but instead modeling it for people, including quotes from volunteers in the story or suggesting the ways that people in the community are already acting.
Fifth, prove.
We want to have a level of proof, how we know this solution works. But one of the things we've seen in our research is that the level of proof people bring to this is not overly high. They don't need, hard and fast evaluation measures to demonstrate that a program is working, we know that there are other more anecdotal ways to to express the value of a program that people will find just as powerful.
The results? Solutions-oriented stories can make a difference. The right stories can engage people and let them know that progress is possible. The wrong stories risk turning off your audience or making them feel that nothing is working and nothing can be done.
When you tell solution stories, first of all, the stories are much more interesting. People are much more likely to pay attention to them. Secondly, they're more motivational. Our data shows that people, after hearing a solution story, are much more likely to want to take action. Thirdly, it boosts support for at-risk kids. And finally, that we should support increased government investments in programs. So solution stories make a real difference. We demonstrate it statistically, and that's why we're encouraging everybody to use them.
For more information or to download a copy of the tools and the storytelling tip sheet, please visit the Improved Communications section at the Action Center on SparkAction.org. For the full report, please visit childadvocacy360.com.